So Deadlock had a major update. This is the shop rework major update. So we're talking the entire item store got reworked. Not necessarily like every item is new or every item is totally different, but basically entire artwork, graphical overhaul, tons of new items. There's only 12 slots now instead of 16. You can buy any items with them. They're not limited in any capacity. So there is a ton of difference in this next patch. I have now played on it for a full day, and so I feel comfortable going over the patch and kind of talking about the changes. I will not be going over every line of text. If you want to, I will try to link this down in the description of the YouTube video so you can read over it yourself. But I am going to try to hit most of the highlights because this would literally take like 3 or 4 hours probably to read through line by line. But we can talk about individually some of the more important stuff. So, total slot count reduced from 16 to 12. You start off with 8 items now, and there is 4 flex item slots. Big change to the game. I really like it because you are allowed to buy whatever item that you want. I am a firm believer that less restriction in your building is better than more restrictions in your building. And any opportunity to give the player more autonomy is a better change. You're going to find that the item changes are simply different. So you start with 400 souls now. The first tier of items costs 800 and so on and so forth, through the top tier costing 6,400. So you're going to see various item changes to the soul counts. And that is basically this entire redesign section. The artwork is beautiful. It's amazing. They did a lot of stuff with builds. Builds are a little broken right now. There's a bug where if your build goes off screen and needs to scroll, it gets super messed up. So if you're trying to make a build, make sure it doesn't go off the screen and need to scroll. If it does, if you left click and right click at the same time on things, it seems to work and helps you delete it so you can fix it for now. But do be careful with that. There also is a new feature where after a game, if you like a build that one of your teammates or enemies was running, you can steal their build and it basically ports over, which is a very nice quality of life feature. They did some stuff with the quick buy, fixing some bugs with that, letting you reorder items from the queue, which is nice. Base and map updates. So the entire map got another artwork pass. The map got more of a aesthetic artwork change than it did get a gameplay change. There are areas of the map that are different. So there's certain areas that you're going to find. You're going to be like, oh, the walkers are placed a little bit further back. This area has boxes now and this area doesn't. But in general, it was more of a big aesthetic change, particularly to the bases. The bases are both aesthetically and physically different. And you're going to find that the team fights in those areas are a lot more... It almost reminds me of like the Fire Giant Pit in Smite when it was closed off. The area is a lot more closed off, so things like Sevenal seem to work even better inside of it because you're even more inside of like a domed off style of area, and there's some early work on things going on in there. None of the art, not I say none, a lot of the artwork still isn't finished, but you can see the direction that they're going with the characters, with the items, with the bases. And it's really cool. They're really embracing the aesthetic that they're landing with that kind of noir-y. I don't even know how to explain it, but I really enjoy it. Mid laner walker area. This is just more aesthetic changes. These are hard. This is, like I said, there is some changes to how the actual map works. You're going to find that there's certain areas that are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. It's been a little bit reworked. There's a little bit of different crates here, more crates, more of this, more of that. But you're going to have to check that all out in game. Soul Orb mechanic. This is a big one. You get ammo back now when you claim an orb, which is a big deal. And I have found... So the soul orbs no longer automatically claim when colliding with the world, so no more stupid, just like it hits a wall, which was lame. They changed it so when the orb leaves, it's got this like black mist on it, and then it grabs its color. That is when you can actually secure it. It seems that as long as you're focused on the orb when it's ready and time to shoot, in my experience, they made it so you always get it. So the teams whose actual minion that it seems like you get the orb 100% of the time if you're ready for it and you shoot at it. The only time that you're getting denied right now is if you're not actually looking at the orbs themselves when they come out. So you can focus essentially 100% of your orbs right now, and the denies in lane are way less problematic. Game optimization and game feel. So they basically worked on getting jitters down, and they worked on some frames. I've had quite a few people tell me that the frames are better in game, which is nice. I've had a small lag issue today where every once in a while for like 1 second, everything seems to kind of like lock up for just a moment. That seems to be from this patch. But it only happened like 3 or 4 times today, and I do think it could just be because of the service having more players on it than they have had in a while. They did some changes to the movement with things like air acceleration. I honestly didn't notice a lot of these changes, but they've tried to do some fixes where fixing some cases where like after you dash over a wall jump and stuff like that. A lot of these things I did not particularly notice today, and if you look at a lot of things, there's some wild text in here. For me, I did not notice a particular change in the way that I was flying through the air. Did not seem that noticeable to me throughout the day, and we played for 7 hours. Some camera changes, miscellaneous changes. These are actually important, a lot of these. Third flex slot from killing all walkers to 2. That has been a big deal, especially because the side walkers are little babies now. They are so easy to kill. You can, if you're a Wraith right now, Wraith is having the best time of her life. She can split push those probably at like the 12-minute marker. As long as she's got 1 minion, she can basically eliminate it in 30 seconds. These walkers die crazy fast on the side lanes. You have to be protecting them at all times. Players start with 400 souls, but the baseline items now cost 800 souls. The last flex slot went from base guardians and shrine to just base guardians. What else is important in here? Shields have been reworked. This is a big one. So now they're just called barriers. So instead of having like gun shield and spirit shield, now you just have barrier, and it's universal. Hero kill comeback values were reduced by 15%, but the losing team now gets up to 25% more souls from basically everything in the game, but not including the first 3K in net worth. That is ignored, so it doesn't count as comeback until you're above 3K souls as a soul difference. So you're getting less for hero comeback kills, but more generically just for farming everything in the game. It's hard to tell how those changes have been for Snowball, because right now the games are vastly determined by just how many games has their team played on the new patch and how many games has your team played on the new patch. So we're kind of just waiting. Plus, a lot of new players have come back that haven't played in several months, which is great. But because there's not really like rank decay or anything, it means that these guys are just getting thrown into games against people that have been playing for 4 months straight, and they're playing their first game in 4 months. So you're going to see a lot of winky wonky donkey going on. Zipline boost reduced by 50%. Ziplines are way slower. And the cooldown has increased from 280 to 360. Zipline now glows in the world when there's a boosted player on it, so you can know what's going to happen, and it takes them a lot longer to get there. The walker nodes have been adjusted. You'll see those in game. They have been changed a little bit. They've got a couple safer spots. Trooper bounty split was changed, but only at the grouping up levels. So it's still 160, but then it decays after that. So your duo splits are still all of the same. Sidewalker HP relative to midwalker from minus 22 to minus 40. Tiny little baby walkers. The stomp is only 6 meters high now instead of 9 meters, which is a big deal. So you don't get hit out of the air as often. Backdoor protection range check increased from 5 to 10 meters. Distance to attack walkers, you can attack them from further away. Power-ups now spawn at 5 minutes instead of 10, and they are still every 5 minutes. The breakables now spawn at 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, but they still respawn every 3 minutes. They increase the chance that you get souls from the boxes and buffs from the statues by 10%. Boxes and statues, way more valuable now, and they spawn earlier on the map, so make sure you're grabbing those in between the waves. Much more consistent that you're getting value out of those now. Teleporters are available right from the start of the game, which I haven't seen be that important so far, except for when games are really snowballing hard, because I have seen people lose their Guardians sub 3 minutes. That is how hard the lane can snowball, so you got to be careful of that. Walker resistances, from 0 going up by 8 to 40 to 0, 0, 20, 30, 40, 50. This is why the defense is so important. Bullet and spirit resist from being near a walker reduced by 10%. Bullet and spirit resist from being near a walker radius reduced. Neutral bounties increased by 6%. So all of this basically just means that pushing walkers is easier. The actual mid walker isn't quite that easy to push, but those sidewalkers, man, are really easy to go ahead and just push down. Okay, they changed some of the power-ups. Basically, the power-ups got nerfed across the board, but they do start scaling at the 5-minute marker rather than the 10-minute marker, but because you can get them so much earlier, they did get nerfed down a bit. If you grab the buff at 5 minutes, though, it is a huge buff. Huge, huge, huge buff. So make sure you're getting ready for that 5 minutes if at all possible. Debuff resistance is now stacked diminishingly. Dash slow cap, 40 to negative 50 to negative 40 to negative 50%. And you can no longer cheese cooldowns by upgrading the item. It's all still on cooldowns. So those are all very relevant changes. Then we get into a bunch of general changes. A lot of you got like various bug fixes and sound fixes. Audio in the game sounds way better. In general, it is very, very nice. A lot of the guns sound exquisite. A lot of the patrons sound excruciating when they die. It's like if Goober somehow sounded like even worse. Like you felt even sadder for them. So all of that is happening. A lot of really good stuff there. User interface stuff. One nice thing is you can now see when the enemy buys a tier, like a 6K item. So you can see it pop up so you know those items that are being bought as they're being bought, which is super nice. That has been very helpful to know, like, oh, Dynamo bought a refresher. I didn't have to check. It just pops up on the screen that Dynamo bought a refresher. So that is very, very nice. And then we get into the hero changes. In general, these changes, Abrams is in every game right now. Abrams is very tanky. He is very life-stealer. He is much stronger than he was. Abrams has received a lot of good buffs from this patch. He is enjoying life a lot right now. In general, buffs across the board, / he gets like some bug fixes and some sound effects and some animations, all that stuff. Bebop, he himself has gotten a bunch of bug fixes as well. He's gotten some sound effects fixes in that regard and redos. No longer getting hyper beamed through thin walls and stuff from Bebop. Also, a fun thing with Bebop, they've introduced a new item to the game, which is really crucial for mostly Lash, but also Bebop, where you parry, and while you're in that basically parry animation, you get a cancel of an ability that hits you, and you can parry things like Bebop hook, like Lash pull. So very important to keep in mind. Galago got basically nothing. Dynamo got an entire artwork redo. He looks sick. Very cool. Also, Dynamo, the knockup build hits so hard in the early game now. I don't know what happened with those new items, but for whatever reason, Dynamo is loving that early game knockup build. I took like 700 damage so fast within like the first 7 minutes of the game. So keep that in mind for your Dynamo. Grey Talon got a nerf. His base spirit scaling on his autos and his charge shot lost 0.1. Grey Talon still hits like a truck, but I have seen a lot of Grey Talons feed their brains out today. So be wary of that. But every time that I've played Grey Talon, I feel like I am deleting people, and I have been two-shotting quite a few people today. So he feels fine to me. Haze, sleep no longer wakes up from damage over time. So if anybody has a dot on them, it doesn't wake them up. Quality of life for Haze. Holiday, getting himself Just a little bit of like VO and stuff like that on the Spirit Lasso and doing some bug fixes. In Furnace, projectile no longer slides against geometry. Ivy got some changes here. Mostly her airdrop is getting nerfed in various degrees. The tier 3 silence from 4.5 to 3. Combat barrier on the T2, 300 to 200. The T1 duration from 12 seconds to 8 seconds. Ivy in general getting nerfs on that airdrop. To be fair, that ability was maybe one of the best team fight abilities in the game. A 4.5 second silence that was the size of half the map was a little bit overkill. Kelvin, some bug fixes, no damaging enemies through thin walls. Lady Geist, Life Drain, you're now only slowed when the Life Drain is actually damaging the target. We've got a new Lady Geist build up as well. The Malice build doesn't really work on her anymore, but the Bomb build does work on her again, and she hits hard with that Bomb build. Particularly in the early game, Lady Geist throwing out bombs right now is problematic. Lash got a small nerf across the board. Spirit resist from 15% base in this kit to 10%. Then he got a small spirit scaling nerf on ground strike. And he also got some various fixes and audio effects. McGinnis got 10,000 changes. The TLDR here is that McGinnis is still bad. I've seen people argue that this is basically her getting nerfed again. I haven't seen any McGinnises do well today. So if you're a McGinnis main, I'm sorry. You still seem to be not doing so well. At best, I have seen a McGinnis do okay today. I saw one McGinnis do okay. But I don't even think it was a positive KD, and I don't think the McGinnis won the game that they were on the team. Stick away from McGinnis. I still think she's the only character in the game right now that is probably not viable. Mirage, unfortunately, did not get nerfed. He is an absolute terrorist in the lane right now. Somehow it feels worse to lane against Mirage than it did, and it already felt really bad. So watch out for him getting those stacks on you. He is spooky, scary skeletons like he has always been. Mo and Krill did get a nerf. It was it was necessary. Score and heal got reduced by 0.1. Burrow damage got reduced by 20 at the T2. Sandblast no longer deals damage at all. And combo now gives you 50 instead of 70 HP. So, large Mo and Krill nerfs across the board. I actually did not see a lot of Mo and Krill today. Seems that this has put Mo and Krill back into his burrow. I don't think that he's bad, but it definitely took some of the edge off of Mo and Krill. Pocket got actually a really nice buff. The most important of which I don't think is here. It is listed here. You can no longer remove Affliction with Debuff Remover. Debuff Remover no longer removes ultimate effects. Pocket feels very strong right now. He went from being okay to great right over this patch. I've got a build out for Pocket already. I've got the level out order for him. All that good stuff. So if you want a Pocket build, go use it. I'm tinkering with all these builds every day, but I wanted to get out quick builds that were viable after I played characters. So I've got a build up for 7 Pocket, Grey Talon, Vindicta, and Geist right now that are utilizing the new items and the new build orders, and I've kind of made those all nice and compact. So if you need any builds for those characters, those are in the game and updated right now. And I imagine that I will continue tinkering with those as we play more and more in more games. Pocket is fantastic right now, though. 7 feels pretty good. Every time I picked 7 today, it seemed that we had really hard games. But top damage every game. 7 loves a lot of the new itemization. He feels great. Shiv got a small nerf here. The threshold on his killing blow was taken down by 2%. And then the tier 2 threshold was reduced from 6 to 5. So basically from 22% and 28% to 20 and 25%. But Shiv really likes the new tank items, and he's been doing extremely well in the games that I've seen him in today. Sinclair, haven't seen a lot of Sinclair since the patch. Vindicta is in an interesting spot. Every time I pick Vindicta, My KDs have been pretty schmeh, but I feel like now that I've got a build on her going, I feel like her damage output is insane. I feel like Glass Cannon is back on the menu, particularly if you can get it a little bit earlier in the game. Her damage numbers are disgusting with the bullet right now, but she does seem more susceptible to dying. So it seems like she got kind of a trade-off where she's a lot less tanky, but she actually does more damage. So if you're not getting focused, it's crazy. Viscous is very strong right now. Big goober ball builds are everywhere. I see a lot of Viscous. Extremely tanky. Does a ton of damage right now. Viper, I haven't actually seen a lot of Viper today, but everybody is telling horror stories about how OP Viper is with all of this new itemization. There's also some issues where I think he can do damage through his Petrifying Bola with one of the new items as well. So you got to watch out for that. But supposedly, Viper is a menace to society. I've only seen like one Viper out of 10 games. Warden, VO mastering, super strong still. Wraith, in my games, I think that Wraith got the biggest buff out of any character that I've seen so far. Her super safe split pushing in this patch, split pushing is 100% back on the menu because of how weak those sidewalkers are. And Wraith's ability to walk up, burn down a walker within maybe 10 seconds, and then get away is the strongest in the game of probably any character. So I think that Wraith, for a pure map pressure, is back on the menu. In her 1v1 is still really strong, but her ability to PvE is just disgusting right now. Yamato, crazy strong right now. We see a lot of people playing her. Yamato really likes the new Boundless Spirit. The new Boundless Spirit, when you get it, every time you click an ability, you heal for 100 and you get 2 movement speed. So, if she uses her heals plus her ult, so she's got her ability that heals, and she's got her ulti that is going to give her the defenses and the heals, and then every time she presses a button, it heals her. So then she's got 800 heal on top of the double heal. She sustains like crazy. You need disgusting amounts of anti-heal against her. And then all of this is various changes to the itemization. Some of these are brand new items. Some of these are reworked. Some of these have got new costs, all that kind of stuff. And then this is a bunch of localization stuff. But that is essentially the patch, guys. A lot of the characters are give or take where they were strength-wise. I would say the biggest changes in characters is Abrams is a lot stronger. Pocket is a lot stronger. Wraith is stronger, not necessarily as a character, but in her map presence. McGinnis still sucks. And Ivy got toned down a little bit, but still seems to be doing very well. Dynamo damage is up quite a bit. So as far as characters, that's where that goes. But the builds are all over the board right now. A lot of people are trying out tons of itemizations on tons of different characters. So don't be worried if you get into a game and you don't do very well. Like I said, I've got those 5 builds out for you. At some point, I want to start looking into, Paradox and Mo and those kind of characters to get some more builds out for you guys. But right now, we got those base 5 out online. So you can get those going at least here at the start. If you'd like to support us over on YouTube, you can check out the Puzzles and Survival down in the description and download that game. It helps support us a lot. And of course, reminder, we are streaming on Twitch and YouTube now, Monday through Friday. So make sure you're following on all the socials for all that good stuff.